Howdy folks. So this video is going to be a little different than my usual content because this thing just rolled into my house, and literally it rolled in because this thing weighs a ton. This is the Midway Touchmaster 7000. This is a sort of like a bar top touchscreen arcade machine, coin operated. And so, you know, it just sits on like a bar top and it swivels. It's on a swivel base, and sort of you can just go and, you know, play random games while the bar makes some money. And so anyway, this thing is owned by a friend of a friend. And anyway, he bought it working a couple years ago in the US because it was cheap. And anyway, it doesn't work anymore. Basically, he says that the picture got dimmer and dimmer, and then all of a sudden he heard a pop, and the video died. The sound is still going, so clearly, you know, he thinks the game system is okay, but there's no more video. So my job is to figure out why and to fix it. So I don't want to power this thing up right away. If something did blow up inside, I'd rather not cause any more damage. So let's let's not turn it on. Let's take it apart and see what's going on inside. So I've got it apart. I've got the bottom part here, and I've got the CRT over here, and all the case and other stuff is just over there. And I've been taking a look through this. Of course, as you can see, I've separated the two, and I've been going through everything, seeing what's in here and what state it's in. This thing has clearly been worked on before. There's some kind of nasty stuff that was done in here. Other than the fact that it literally just looks disgusting, but that doesn't really surprise me. I originally said that this was probably 80s vintage, but the date codes on the chips say that that's not actually true. In fact, this unit was made in either 1999 or 2000, which is way newer than I would have expected. However, I suspect the design of this probably does go back that far. I found two what looked like EEPROMs, windowed EEPROMs, but they didn't have any windows or any covers on the windows, so I just put some black electrical tape on there just to prevent any light from getting in. I don't really know what those parts were, and I wasn't really going to bother to look them up, but they look like EEPROMs, so I might as well cover them up just to be safe. So let me just go over what we've got here. Basically, over here, this is the mains input. It's got a circuit breaker and just a rocker power switch. Obviously, some sort of bolt connection here for, you could probably tie this, chain this to something to, so someone doesn't steal it. Because it is, it's small enough you can pick this thing up. It weighs maybe 40 pounds or something. So, I mean, it's not easy to walk around with, but, you could steal this if you wanted to. It's got a cooling fan. There's only one fan in the entire unit, which is right here. And you'll also note that there's a speaker down here, and this is a socket which connects to the coin tray, which is over there, and just the sort of the wiring loom that connects this in. And this is where I noticed the first really janky ass repair that someone had done. Basically, I found this. This is a 20 amp blade fuse. Basically, the blades were stuck into some spade terminals on the end of some wires, and so what I figure they did was they basically disconnected the circuit breaker, and they just, I don't know if you probably can't. Let me see if I can get some light down in there. You can see down in there are spade terminals that connect to the circuit breaker, and so they removed that from the circuit breaker, and they plugged in this into those spade terminals, which of course this doesn't fit. It's just loosey-goosey in there, and this is 20 amps, and this thing is rated for, I think, 1.2 amps. So yeah, clearly the person who fixed this is an idiot. And so I checked the circuit breaker, and the circuit breaker has continuity. It works fine. There's nothing wrong with the circuit breaker. So what I suspect probably happened was this thing was probably popping the breaker all the time, and so they decided, well, oh, the breaker must be bad, so let's just put in, a fuse. I don't know. So anyway, when I get to what actually was the failure, that probably explains why this was probably popping. So I've just put that back and everything works fine there. And of course, we have a sort of our main power supply here. So the AC comes in at the bottom, and yeah, I can just turn this down a little bit. The AC comes into the bottom, and it's got 5 volts and 12 volts out. The 5 volts is a little bit low, but it's within tolerance for something like this. I'm not actually sure what that adjustment screw does. I don't know which rail it adjusts, because of course there's only one screw and there's multiple rails, so I don't really know. But maybe I'll play around with that at some point. And so yeah, the board is pretty standard. We've got some Dallas battery-backed SRAM here, some crystals, obviously some RAM, probably, like I said, our ROMs. There's a Xilinx, probably a CPLD or just a PLD, given its age, and you know, nothing really surprising. Looks like a 6800 series CPU, and it's got a couple diagnostic LEDs, some power supply stuff, and it has a serial port here, which connects into this micro touch module. And this is the touchscreen controller. Of course, this is a touchscreen device. It has no gamepad, and so the touchscreen is quite interesting. It's a curved piece of glass which fits over the CRT, and it has, I would suspect it is a capacitive touch, and it's just got some wires here. It's all kind of taped on there. It's not really well held on, so I don't want to handle that too much. But I had to take that off in order to separate the CRT from all this stuff, because the cable doesn't actually disconnect. It's kind of dumb how it's got like cables coming out of the what's it called, strain relief. It looks almost like this was done after the fact, but I don't see how you could modify this. So I suspect this thing was sold like that. It's just kind of strange. Everything about this is strange. Everything in it is pretty much bought, you know, off the shelf. I think probably the metal chassis was probably custom for this, and this board was custom for this, but pretty much everything else was bought in, right? Power supplies bought in, you know, touchscreens bought in, CRT modules bought in. I bet the coin mechanism probably is also, you know, farmed out to some other company. So this Midway company probably only made that board and the case, and that's about it. So that's about it for this. This stuff works fine. If I disconnect the CRT, so this is the connection to the CRT, this is the video connection, and so there are 6 lines here. So I suspect it's probably RGB, horizontal or vertical sync, and ground. That would be my best guess. So, you know, in that case, you could probably convert this to VGA. You could hack up a VGA cable and basically make this thing have a standard video out. If I want to sacrifice a VGA connector, I might try that. But you could probably get this thing to output to a standard monitor without even trying. It's also got just sort of mains power that goes to the CRT, and that's it pretty much. Of course, the touchscreen. And so then the CRT module over here is, of course, of high interest, because this is, of course, you know, what has failed, or, you know, the video failed. So of course I suspect this, and I can power this thing up without the CRT connected, and it seems to work just fine. It makes sound, just like the owner said. It makes some sort of like really bad video game noises, and you know, the fan spins and the lights, diagnostic lights on the board flash. So you know, if you press on the touchscreen, it makes more noises. So I assume that this is all working fine. And so of course that brings my attention to this thing, and it didn't take me more than 30 seconds to figure out what the hell is wrong with this thing. I mean, it really did not take long, because it's just super obvious. And to sort of spoil it all at once, you take a look at the flyback transformer over here. You'll notice there's a little bit of blackening around that hole on that sticker there, And that's because there is a giant blowhole in the top of this flyback transformer. You can see, if I can get the light in here, it is, yeah, it's a little toasty. So obviously it's arced across inside the high voltage winding of that transformer, or possibly in the doubler. And yeah, so that would explain why there is no video. If there's no high voltage, there's no video. So that is not surprising at all. And this is what actually has been repaired. Aside from the shitty fuse job, there have been at least 1 or 2 repairs done on this unit itself. Of course, this is TelcoVision. This is, again, something else that's been farmed out. This big wiring loom here connects to a control panel, and this sort of just velcros onto the inside of the chassis. And of course, this has all of your display adjustments, of course. And you'll notice that one of these pots is not like all the others. It's this one, the vertical position. So that's been replaced. And you also notice that the board's all black around that area. And I think the blackening is caused by this resistor. It's a 100 ohm resistor, and it measures 100 ohms, so it's not bad, but it's clearly gotten a little toasty, and it probably cooked that pot, so they replaced it with whatever they had. And this is not a bad repair. I'm not condemning that repair. That I don't expect the pots to match. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's also this sort of yellow wire which is not stuck in the wiring loom anymore. And you'll notice it actually doesn't go to this connector anymore. It's soldered onto just a resistor down here, and the soldering job is horrible. You see they burned the board trying to get that on there. And so this connector, you'll also notice that there's this little burn hole in the connector where basically, wow, my camera does not want to focus anymore. There is basically just a hole where they've basically taken a soldering iron and they've melted out that pin, and they've then wired it elsewhere. So I don't know why they did that, because I looked at the board and it doesn't appear that there's anything wrong on the board, or the trace isn't broken on the board. But yeah, for some reason this got rewired. So whatever. I mean, it works, and it's not bad enough that I'll redo it. But it's kind of like, I don't like the way that they took it out of that connector. Like, you don't have to melt the connector to get the wires out. That's just kind of dumb. Unless it actually melted, like arced out or something in the connector. But given the pattern, I doubt it. So anyway, this thing is a Samsung tube, and you can read that part number if you care. It's disgusting. It's very furry, as the high voltage will of course attract dust. And it's just a bog standard CRT monitor with, just basically video in, power in, and that's it. So of course I need another flyback transformer for this. And so of course I looked down and I got the part number off of this, and you Google it, and no longer manufactured, nobody sells it like anywhere. And so I managed to find a forum post somewhere which lists a cross-reference for this part number. And so I looked up that part, again, just does not exist anywhere. And so then I found another forum post which has a cross-reference for that part number. And I looked up that sort of second removed part number, and there was one company in the US which said that they had one of that type, of that part number. So I of course I asked the owner, and he said, yeah, it's worth a shot. And so I bought it, and it arrived today. And so this is that replacement transformer. So that is the part number I ended up buying. And so it is a little bit bigger than the original physically, but it will fit. The pin spacing and everything is all the same. That will fit. I may have to bend or cut this this mounting point off, because or probably I'll just saw this piece off here to get it to fit in here. Of course, it's got the plate cup, and then it's got the screen and focus wires here. Now, of course, they're not labeled on this one, and of course they're not labeled on this one either, but one of them is thicker than the other, and similarly on this one of them is thicker than the other. So I'm going to simply match you know, the voltages, and it should be correct. I do not know. I don't have any data on this part or this part, so I can't be 100% sure that they are actually electrically the same. I'm going off of sort of what other people have said online, but you know, I have reasonable confidence that it will work. So I'm going to actually, before I take this apart and change it, I'm kind of curious as to what would happen if I just plugged it in. I haven't done that yet. I've plugged in this part with the CRT disconnected, but I'm kind of curious to see what would happen to this. Either it doesn't do anything because it's gone open circuit, or maybe it's maybe we have fire. That would be fun. So let me plug this in and just see what happens before I tear it apart. So I've got mains here. I'll just plug this in, keep my hand close to the power switch in case it blows up, and see what the CRT does. Ooh, yes, fire. I don't like that. That smells really bad. Okay. Oh yeah, that's bad. Okay, cool. So yeah, that transformer is good and fucked. But of course we already knew that. Damn that smell. So now I'm not going to go near this for a while. It's getting late anyway, so that's why the lighting is so bad. So I'm going to wait until tomorrow, and then I'll discharge this. It'll probably be discharged, but of course, safety first. I'll discharge this, take this board out of here, and then I can, I'll just basically just suck it out, put the new one in, and basically hope for the best. And just, I guess, while I'm here, I might as well show what the rest of the system does. So with that disconnected, I'll just show you what the rest of the system does if I leave it powered on longer than a couple seconds. So fan comes on, power supply comes on, and we get some lights. And it does make some sounds out of the built-in speaker eventually. There we go. So it clearly boots to something, and then I think if I push the, yeah, if I hit the touch screen, it makes sound. So I'm confident that this all works. So yeah, simple case of flyback death, which is, you know, probably one of the more common failures of CRTs. Okay, so it's the next day, and I've got in the new flyback. As you can see, it's all nice, new, and shiny, and not disgusting. And you notice that the heatsink, I bent it out a little bit. Unfortunately, this transformer is a little bit longer than the original, and I didn't want to cut the heatsink, of course, because the horizontal output transistors on this, and I don't want I don't know, you know, the heatsink's a certain size for a certain reason, so I just sort of bent it out. It'll still fit in the chassis this way, I think. So it looks ugly, but I mean, that's the kind of repair you're ultimately going to get when you don't have the original part. So I've got the focus in here. I've got the screen in here. For some reason, I almost broke this stupid plastic piece trying to get the focus wire out, because for some reason the way that they designed the latch, you have to pull it from the bottom. If you pull it from the top, you'll just crack this. It's kind of an annoying socket. I haven't put the shield on the back here yet because it was zip tied, so I'll put that all back on and do all the cable management after I test it. So yeah, so I'm gonna try it out, and like I said, I don't know if this is the right transformer, so we could have some spectacular fireworks if it isn't. So, well, I mean, I've got mains here, so we will plug it in and do this for the first time on camera. I'll stand back a little bit just because. Here goes. Oh, I heard high voltage. I heard high voltage. I heard high voltage, but I don't see anything on the screen. But I definitely saw the dust move, which tells me that the high voltage came up. I don't see filament, so maybe there's no filament supply. Let me play with the screen and the focus controls. Oh, there we go. There we go. We have something. It does not look to be okay though, but we've got something. So that's the focus. That looks okay to me. And so this must be the screen. So we've got definitely some flipping issue and horizontal sync issue. So let's change the horizontal hold. There we go. Welcome to Midway's Touchmaster 7000. There we go. That's working quite well. And of course the image is upside down because remember this unit goes upside down inside the chassis. It actually hangs all this circuitry upside down inside. So that's why the image is upside down. But yeah, that looks actually quite good, and it's quite bright. So even though I can't see the heaters, CRT is definitely looking quite good. So yeah, so I'm just going to close this thing up, and I think I'm going to be done with it. I kind of want to play this now. I don't know what this is, but since I've got access to I got the keys to the coin tray, I can play this as much as I want. I don't have to pay for it until I have to give it back, of course. So let me just close it all up and I'll give you a demo. Okay, so I've gotten the unit all back together again, and so let's power it on and see what it does. A 1999 date on the ROM. A test pattern, and there we go. So this is my first time actually looking at this interface. So you've got different game categories. This thing looks like it has a decent number of games on here, actually. And it's also got Spanish. So I was on the main menu for a while, and I was tweaking all the different controls for trying to get the CRT as nice as I could. It doesn't seem to have pincushion control, so unfortunately that's a little bit off. But I think it's you know, it's acceptable. So anyway, it goes into sort of this demo mode if you just leave it long enough, where it tries to show you what you can do, but I just dismissed that. And so it's got some interesting things on here. Let's see, action games. Oh, it's got Breakout. What I'm surprised about is how good the actual touchscreen is for, you know, for 96 when this well, when the touchscreen controller was made. It's actually very responsive. I mean, like there is no lag. It's 60 frames a second. So it's working great, actually. Skill. Quiz. Now you get to see how much I don't know. Yeah, see, frickin', I have no idea. Okay, cool. So yeah, anyway, I think that's the end of this project. I think I'm going to just turn this off and call the owner. I'll pick it up. I know I didn't really film any of the actual work that I did because it's just, my hands were completely black when I was working on this because it was just so dirty, and I just didn't want to hold a camera or anything like that while I was doing it. I mean, it really wasn't anything special, just putting in a new transformer. The real work was honestly finding one, but you know, it's not something that, you know, even though I could, you could retrofit this with an LCD or something, it just wouldn't be the same. So I think it was probably worth it. I mean, clearly the owner, paid me to do this, so it was worth it to get this done and get the original CRT working. And I'm impressed with how bright it is. I looked at how dirty it was inside, and I thought that CRT would be, nearing the end of its life, but I actually think it's got great emission. So I don't have an actual CRT tester, but it looks great. I can crank up the screens and the brightness, and it washes completely out. So it's good. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that, and as always, thanks for watching.